My girlfriend announced, "My real boyfriend gets out next month. Our fun is almost over." She said this casually during Sunday dinner, as if discussing the weather. I froze, fork halfway, to my mouth. I thought it was a sick joke. Then her boyfriend's mother, my aunt, patted her hand and said, "Don't worry, dear. Don't miss the twist. Subscribe and be part of the journey." I, Leo, 35, male, had been with Maya, 32, for the past 3 years. Our life was a quiet, seemingly simple one in a small, historic town in Kentucky. I was a freelance historical document restorer, a meticulous and patient craft that earned me a respectable but inconsistent income of around $95,000 a year. Maya was an assistant at a local art gallery, a job that paid little, but which she said she loved for the beauty of it all. We lived in a small house I had inherited, a home that was often filled with the presence of my Aunt Carol, my late mother's sister. My Aunt Carol's son, my cousin Dylan, was in prison. He was a charismatic artist who had been convicted of art forgery 3 years prior, right around the time Maya and I had gotten together. My aunt had been devastated, and Maya had been a constant source of comfort for her. I saw their close bond as a beautiful thing. I saw my role in our quiet life as the stable, dependable man holding things together while my family healed. I was a placeholder. I just didn't know it yet. The conflict, the first crack in the facade, came in the form of a career opportunity. The Newberry Library in Chicago, one of the most prestigious research libraries in the world, offered me a position as a senior conservation specialist. It was a dream job, a chance to work on priceless documents and lead my own team. The salary was $170,000 a year. It was a career, a future, an escape. I told Maya and my aunt over dinner, my voice filled with a nervous excitement. Their reaction was a coordinated performance of gentle concern. "Chicago is so big, Leo." My aunt had said, her hand on my arm. "Your life is here. Your family is here." "She's right," Maya had added, her eyes wide with a practiced sincerity. "What would we do without you? You're our rock." They saw my dream not as an opportunity for me, but as a logistical problem for them. The Sunday dinner, a few weeks later, was when I finally understood why. Update 1. After that dinner I went back to my life, but I was a different man. The world had shifted on its axis. I was not a partner, I was a temporary solution. I was a mark. That Monday morning, I quietly sent my signed acceptance to the Newberry Library. My start date was in 2 months. My aunt and Maya, believing they had successfully guilted me into staying, continued their performance. "Leo is so devoted to his family." My aunt would tell her friends. "He would never abandon us." Maya would talk about our future, about renovating the house, about a life that I now knew was a complete fabrication. While they planned my future in Kentucky, I was in my workshop at night, planning my own. I started by pulling the court records from my cousin Dylan's forgery trial. I read through the witness transcripts. And there she was. Maya, the gallery assistant, had been the star witness for the defense. Her testimony, full of praise for Dylan's artistic genius, and downplaying the value of the forgeries, had helped him get a much lighter sentence than he should have. The pieces began to click into place. Their relationship wasn't new. It was just on hold. I opened a new bank account with a national bank. I began documenting all the money I had loaned Maya and my aunt over the past 3 years, a steady stream of cash for car repairs, medical bills, and other small, invented crises. It was not a loan. It was my salary for a job I had never applied for. Update 2. I chose not to have another grand confrontation. The Sunday dinner had been the only one I needed. I spent the next few weeks detaching myself, piece by piece. I told Maya that the Chicago offer was still on the table, and that I was reconsidering. I let her and my aunt believe they still had a chance to manipulate me. The final conversation happened in the quiet of my workshop. She came in, her expression one of practiced concern. "Have you made a decision about Chicago?" she asked. "I have," I replied, not looking up from the 18th century manuscript I was working on. "I've taken the job. I'm leaving at the end of the month." Her face hardened. The mask of the gentle, caring girlfriend fell away, revealing the cold, hard ambition underneath. "You can't do this," she said. "After everything we've been through." "What, exactly, have we been through?" I asked, my voice quiet and even. "Other than you living in my house and spending my money, while you wait for your real boyfriend to get out of prison." The direct hit left her speechless. The unspoken truth was finally out in the open. "If you leave," she finally said, her voice a low threat, "you are throwing away this family." "This isn't a family," I replied. "It's a conspiracy. And I'm resigning my position." Update 3. The fallout was a campaign of vicious, whispered lies. They told everyone in our small town that I had become unstable, paranoid, that I had abandoned poor, loyal Maya. My aunt played the part of the heartbroken matriarch, betrayed by the nephew she had trusted. I did not defend myself. I simply packed. I moved out while Maya was at work, and my aunt was at her weekly bridge game. I took my clothes, my books, and the contents of my workshop. I left the house I had inherited, the home they had turned into a temporary holding cell. I drove to Chicago and moved into a small, modern apartment in Lincoln Park. The city was a world away from the suffocating intimacy of my old life. My new job at the Newberry was a dream. I was surrounded by brilliant, dedicated scholars and curators. I was working on documents that had shaped history. I was no longer a supporting character in someone else's sordid drama. I was the quiet, respected expert in my own right. Update 4. My life in Chicago was a quiet renaissance. My work at the library was deeply fulfilling, and I quickly earned the respect of my colleagues. I was not just a restorer, I was a scholar, contributing to the understanding of the documents I worked on. Back in Kentucky, the clock was ticking down to my cousin Dylan's release. I heard through the family grapevine that my aunt had taken out a second mortgage on her home, no doubt to prepare a lavish welcome for her returning son. After my first 6 months in Chicago, I received a $20,000 grant to develop a new technique for identifying modern forgeries in historical documents. It was a significant professional validation. I used a portion of the money to hire a discreet private investigator in Kentucky. I didn't need proof of their conspiracy. I needed a clear, real-time picture of their lives, their habits, and their finances. It was time to stop being a victim and start being a strategist. Update 5. My research on forgery detection was published in a major academic journal. The article was a quiet but significant event in my field. The library issued a press release, and a few niche publications picked up the story. My name, once only known in a small town, was now attached to groundbreaking research. The news, of course, made its way back to Kentucky. The emails from Maya started arriving at my new work address. She was proud of me. She had always known I was brilliant. She said her life was empty without me. She said my aunt missed me terribly and that the family wasn't the same. It was a clumsy, desperate attempt to re-establish the connection they had so thoroughly betrayed. Update 6. She appeared at the library in Chicago. She was dressed to impress, a vision of Southern charm in the hushed, academic halls. She had a story prepared, a tale of a woman who had been trapped, manipulated by a domineering aunt and a criminal cousin. I met her in the public reading room, a space of quiet, studious integrity. "Leo," she said, her voice a soft, practiced whisper. "I was a victim, just like you. I was trapped." "Were you trapped when you gave false testimony at his trial?" I asked, my voice equally quiet, but sharp as a scalpel. "Were you trapped when you spent the money I gave you for your car trouble on his legal fees? Were you trapped when you made your little announcement at Sunday dinner?" I had the PI's report in my briefcase. I had bank records. I had phone logs. I didn't need to show them to her. She saw the truth in my eyes. The performance was over. "You are not a victim, Maya," I said. "You are a co-conspirator. And your partner is about to be released." Update 7. Their retaliation was a clumsy, predictable attempt to destroy my new life. My Aunt Carol called the director of the library. She told him a wild, rambling story about how I had stolen valuable historical documents from our family, that I was an unstable, untrustworthy character. It was a foolish, desperate move. My reputation at the library was built on a foundation of meticulous, documented work. The director called me into his office, listened to my quiet, factual account of the family situation, and then dismissed the entire matter. Their attempt to slander me had only served to solidify my position. The true revenge, however, was already in motion. The trap was set. Dylan was released from prison, a returning hero to his mother and his girlfriend. But he was a convicted fill-on, unemployable in the legitimate art world. And he was broke. My PI's report detailed their growing financial desperation. They were looking for a big score, and I was about to provide one. Update 8. A year later, my life in Chicago was settled and happy. I was the head of my department. I was dating a woman named Grace, a rare books librarian with a quick wit and a kind heart. Our life was a quiet, happy world of books, museums, and long walks by the lake. Through a series of carefully placed intermediaries in the art world, I let it be known that a recently discovered and slightly damaged letter from a famous historical figure was in a private collection, and that the owner was looking for a discreet, the book's restoration. The letter was, in fact, a brilliant forgery I had created myself, a masterpiece of artificial aging and historical accuracy. As expected, they took the bait. Dylan, using his old connections, secured the job. My PI documented their every move, the cash they demanded up front, the purchase of materials, the late nights in my aunt's basement workshop. They were about to restore a forgery, a crime that would be a direct violation of Dylan's parole. Update 9. The sting was a work of art. The private collector they were working for was, in fact, an undercover FBI agent specializing in art crime, an old contact of a colleague at the library. The final meeting, the one where Dylan would deliver the restored forgery and collect his final payment, was a setup. Dylan was arrested on the spot, but this time, he didn't go down alone. My PI had provided the FBI with a complete record of Maya's and my aunt's financial and logistical involvement in the scheme. They were not just accessories, they were active participants. Maya, Dylan, and my Aunt Carol were all arrested and charged with multiple federal crimes, including wire fraud, conspiracy, and parole violation. Their family business was finally, officially over. Final update. A few months ago, I received a call from my uncle, my Aunt Carol's estranged ex-husband. He had seen the news reports about the arrests. "I wanted to apologize, Leo," he said, his voice heavy with a long-held sadness. "I saw what she was turning our son into, and I couldn't stop it. I just walked away," he sighed. "You didn't. You stood your ground, and you fought back with the one thing they never understood: the truth." His words were a final, quiet validation. The lesson I had learned was one I already knew from my work. Authenticity is everything. You can create a brilliant forgery, a story so compelling that it fools the world. But a forgery is, by its nature, fragile. It cannot withstand scrutiny. A life, like a historical document, must be built on a foundation of truth. It is the only material that is truly made to last.